This is the Decahedron Podcast with Joe and James, two old dudes talking about RPG stuff.
Hey, that's your cue, James. You're supposed to say hi to me.
Hello, Joseph.
Hi, James. Actually, I think I was supposed to start it because this is my
Yeah.
topic. I was just thrown off because the last one was my topic, and we normally flip-flop.
Hey, I'm not fussy on the flip-flop. Let's start over.
No, well, we're not going to start over.
Okay.
No, we're going to live with it. Live podcasting at its best, folks. Let's just tell everyone what the topic is. This week, we are talking about artwork. James and I have very different feelings about artwork in books. And based on stuff I've read, I think I am in the minority of most of the players in the universe. I might be the only one who feels the way I do. We're going to talk about artwork. Do you want to give more a deeper introduction, James?
No, I think I'm going to let you start this, and
All right.
you explain your view.
I'm going to explain my view. My view boils down to this. I am a big boy. I don't need picture books. I've grown up. I read chapter books. When was the last time you picked up a novel and it has illustrations on every page? You don't, because you're all grown up. Why do we insist on rule books having art? I don't get it. Rule books are reference books. You're supposed to look at them and never need to open them again. They're going to sit on the bookshelf. Who cares what's in them? Maybe you'll need to open it up to look at a chart or something. Who cares about how pretty the pictures are inside? This came to me, I want to say it was back in the 90s. It might have been the late 80s. I was reading in a magazine. I can't remember what magazine. It might have been when I was living in England, so it might have been one of the gaming magazines there. But anyway, they were doing a review on the game, and the review boiled down to it was an awesome game, and the rules were perfect, and the setting was wonderful, and it's just a shame that it had such lousy artwork, and so they marked it way down. I'm like, who cares? That's what's important. You're buying a game. You're not buying artwork. And that's what made me really consider it. And as a frustrated game designer, I'm working on this thing called Lucky 7 that I want to turn into a book. I can do that in my spare time for free. I have no artistic skills at all. So if I want art in there, I need to hire an artist, which means if I want to sell this book, I now need to charge more for the book to cover the cost of the artwork. But that's not what it is. It's a rule book about how to play a game. So why should people have to pay more for stuff that doesn't matter? If you want to look at pretty pictures, buy a picture book. That's my point. Your turn.
When I am looking for a book to read or a game to play, 9 times out of 10, the first thing that catches you is the cover art, the name of the book. One of the games I get into is Shadowrun, and what dragged me to it was the cover art. Shadowrun second edition. I'm sure many of you could see it online, but the picture is what made me think of the game. When I'm looking for, like I said, books to read or game books, 9 times out of 10, I'm looking at the artwork. I will pull up the review on the book to see what they say about the game or the book to see if it is something I'll get into. But the cover art is what sells a lot of the books.
That's advertisement, right? And so I get it, but I still disagree with it. We grew up in that day and age where you heard all the time, don't judge a book by the cover.
But the cover drags you to the book. I agree. It needs to have substance as well.
Now, I will agree. I do have this trilogy of books. Our mutual friend Peter bought them for me because I kind of asked for them because I love the cover. And it's called The Dwarves by some German guy, Marcus Hausmann or something. And it's a great cover. It's a very understated cover, but it's great. But you can have a great cover with no art. I will point you to the original Traveller Little Black Books. Black cover, red stripe, white words, Traveller, science fiction in the far future or something like that.
Right, but what it is, again, you're right about the picture, but the word, the way they put it on the book, drew you into it, did it not?
No. Playing the game was what drew me into it because it was Ernie. Did you ever play with Ernie?
Yes, once.
Yeah, it was because Ernie or Clifford were playing the game and they got me into the game. And from there, I bought the book. So I bought the book because I liked the game. Nothing to do with the art, although original Traveller had lousy art anyway. So no one would buy that book for the art. But that's not why you buy a role-playing. That's not why I buy a role-playing game. However, we're going to take a little side trip here, folks. Hang on. I'm going to ask you a question because about a year ago, maybe 2, my niece shared this article with me, and I was like, OMG, I'm the same way. All right, let's do this. Close your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. go back into the Wayback Machine. Do you remember the ROTC room?
Yes.
And can you see it in your mind?
Yes.
Like if you can look around the room and you can see like how the desks were arranged. It was like a horseshoe, wasn't it?
No, it was in line. We did do horseshoes from time to time when Sarge would run the class.
Yes, that's what it was. All right. And hanging from the ceiling.
Airplanes of all types.
Yep. All right. That's the end of this little experiment. I can't do that. I mean, I remember that there were airplanes hanging down. I remember that sometimes we had the desks in a horseshoe, but I can't see it. I don't have a mental image of that. And I never knew that other people could until my niece shared this article with me because she said that she couldn't. And it would just talk about people that can't do that. And I thought no one could do that. And it just blew me away that people like you see things that aren't there.
They're there at one time. They're in my mind.
Talk to my wife. She says, like, when she reads a book, she knows exactly what the author is describing. She can see it, even though it's not there. So she's seeing things that aren't there. And I'm wondering, though, if this level of, and after I heard this, it dawned on me that all the words we use, imagine, I mean, that means to image, right? Visualize, to see, picture, and that whatever. It's all these visual things. And I always thought when someone said picture an apple, they just thought, think about an apple. Okay, they're round, they're green, unless they're suck, in which case they're red. I like Granny Smith. It's my favorite. I mean, it has a stem on top. I know all these things about an apple, but I don't see one in my head. I thought they always just meant think about one, not actually try to invoke this mental image in your head. And it just blew me away. And I wonder if maybe that is part of why pictures in rule books have no meaning to me at all. Like the last book that we just reviewed, where you talked about the artwork.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you one picture that was in there. I didn't look at them. I don't care. I can't even tell you what's on the cover, other than a lot of people complained about it because I didn't look. It's not what I wanted to know. I wanted to see the price list. That's what I looked at. I will say that there are exceptions. There are times, and I call them illustrations rather than pictures. There are times when a picture, an illustration, can serve a useful purpose. If you have a book aimed at first-time players, showing them a picture of what a D4 looks like and a D6 and a D8, all those dice, is useful because then they can see it. If you're describing combat rules and you're showing like how movement works on a hex grid, if that's what you use, or a square grid or whatever, that is useful. If you're illustrating what different weapons look like or different types of armor look like or different races look like, that is useful. I'm okay with those because you're showing things that are conveying a thing. But just to open up a middle of a page and have a full page picture of nothing, just a paladin in hell, that's for all you first edition lovers out there. What is the purpose of that? You're just trying to fill pages. Stop that. It doesn't do any good.
Let me throw one thing in there for you.
I'm going to throw one more back in your way, and then you can address it. But so monster manual with an illustration of every monster. I agree with that. I approve of that because you're trying to show what this thing is. But the artwork, just for artwork's sake, not a fan.
I'm going to start off with one thing that you do. You try to be a storyteller whenever you are game master, dungeon master, whatever we decide to call the person running the game. You try to make a picture even though you don't realize you're doing it. And that's what some of these books do. It adds to your imagination. And like you said, maybe it's just your mind doesn't pull that out of that. But when you read a description, do you get that?
When I read a description, I know what they're describing. I just don't see it as an image in my head. Waking images is what the article my niece gave me called them. Because when I dream in pictures. I see things when I dream, but I don't see things when I'm awake unless they're really there.
Well, maybe that's one reason why we have opposite ends of opinions when it comes to the imaging and the game itself.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. But I will point out that I know things about you, James, and I know the last book you read and the book before that and the book before that and the book before that were all audiobooks, and audiobooks don't have any pictures at all.
You are correct.
So I will go back and I will just summarize my points. And I'm going to give you one more caveat there. But yeah, my points are just that they add expense, they take up space, and unless they're serving a purpose, they're pointless. So I don't see the point to add in that expense, taking up that space for no purpose. other than, like I said, the illustrations. The other exception I will give is if you have a game that's also a setting, or maybe just a setting like, say, Greyhawk or Ravenloft, or what's that one that everyone always talks about that I've never played?
Dark Sun?
Nope, the one that everybody talks about. The one with Fairy Run or whatever it's called. And
I'm not sure that one. Forgotten Realms?
yeah, that's the one. Forgotten
Okay.
Realms. Like all those, or Paranoia's The World of Alpha Complex, or you could even say Traveler's Imperium. Anyway, anything where you're setting a setting, the pictures might help to immerse people into the setting. So for that, I think you could argue, yes, there's purpose in the artwork because it shows how people dress there, how they look, how the world looks around them. Okay, I will give you that.
Very small, but I'll take it.
Anyway, that's all I had to say about it. We're at 20 minutes. Do you have anything else?
I'm just going to make the one statement. I love illustrations in books, but there is sometimes when they do have too many and they need to focus on the subject over the pictures. That I will give you there.
All right. We just disagree where that line is.
Right.
Yeah. For you, it's one picture every 3 pages is probably good. For me, one picture on the cover is good.
I was going to say 2 for you, one on the cover and one on the back.
Yeah, okay. I'll give you that.
And I don't think 3 pages, maybe 5 or 10, unless they're maps, then they're more useful.
Well, again, it's just different people looking at the world in different ways.
Well, we'll call it a day.
We do thank you, the listener, for listening. I thank you, James, for talking to me. And I hope you have a great month while I'm away.
Well, enjoy the water.
I do like water. Actually, maybe this should be a topic for the list, too. It's definitely going to be a blog post. I do have this idea about a Hawaiian game set in like the 1700s before the Europeans came around. Just if you look at like what was happening and their level of technology and their beliefs, their thoughts on the gods and stuff, I would want to change the gods because I don't want to use anybody's real world religion in a game. But I think it would make just a great gaming world in general. Anyway, so thanks, James. Thanks, audience. Have a great one.
Good night, people.
You have been listening to the Decahedron Podcast. Send email to feedback@decahedron.com. Remember to spell decahedron with a K. Voice feedback can be sent through the Anchor website or by calling 562-RPG-CAST. That's 562-774-2278. Links are in the show notes. Music is courtesy of Kevin MacLeod, logo by Design Cat. Thanks for listening.